Hey there everybody, this is Lee with Creative Two-Time Mom, and this is video number 5 for the Virtual Homeschool Co-op. This week's question is, why do you homeschool? So if you've never seen one of these Virtual Homeschool Co-op videos before, there is a group of us YouTubers who are homeschool moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas, families who answer a question every week about our homeschool. Last week's question was, do you have an emergency preparedness plan? And I will leave my response to that down below. This week's question is, why do you homeschool? And for us, it's an interesting question. Let me give you a little bit of backstory. Some of you have probably heard this story before, some of you have probably not. When we first started considering homeschooling, actually let me go back further than that. I actually have a teaching credential. I have wanted to be a teacher for a very long time, and when I was in college I decided to become a junior high school teacher. And so I have a teaching credential in language arts and English for, it's a single subject, so it's junior high on up through high school. And of course I have a lot of the same philosophy of education type classes. As an elementary teacher, I have a degree in, not a degree, but a certification in cross-cultural education. I believe the name of that has changed, but I still have the certification in that as well. And so I was a huge advocate for public school. I was never going to homeschool my own kids. That thought was shut down. I grew up in a Christian community. As you guys know, we attend church regularly, and I felt like the perception was, because we were Christians and I had a teaching credential, I was automatically going to homeschool my kids, and I was very much so against that. Anyone who asked me got a very adamant answer that as soon as we had kids, no, I was not homeschooling. It was not going to be a part of my life. I really enjoy my junior hires. My high schoolers are fun too, but I did my teaching credential in junior high and absolutely fell in love with teaching that age, and I couldn't imagine teaching my own kids, particularly teaching reading. That was a mountain before me that I felt like I was just not prepared to do. Now, as you know, currently, flash forward to having an 11-year-old, I have taught all 3 of my kids how to read, and it's very simple. I'm a huge advocate for teaching your own children how to read. It's I think if your kids are having problems like dyslexia, other processing disorders, excuse me, it could be more difficult, but really it's not as challenging as you might think it is. So I'm a huge advocate for teaching your kids how to read. I'm lost in my own story. So I was never going to homeschool. It just was not in the plan. And but I did want a very hands-on, I wanted a school for my kids that I could be very involved in. So when Noah started kindergarten, we found a charter school where we could be very involved. In fact, we were required to be involved. You had to put in so many hours every year. I went and I worked in his classroom. I served lunch. I helped teachers do prep work. I went way above and beyond my required hours because I just loved it. I loved being able to invest in him in that way, being able to kind of mentor his friends as they came along. I loved being in the classroom. I was in the classroom once a week. And it was just a great experience. We had a great time. It was a really good fit for us. And he did kindergarten and first grade there. And fast forward to the summer after his first grade year, we had been talking about homeschooling for about 6 months. I don't even know what brought up the conversation, other than the fact that I had kind of eased into being more and more comfortable with teaching him the more time I spent in the classroom. And I finally looked at my husband. We were on vacation at the beach that summer, and I said, okay, this is the deal. This was July. We either need to do it or we need to stop talking about it, because I had gone over in my head the pros and cons so many times. We were in a great school. I didn't want him to lose his slot. He had friends. I was able to invest in his friends and still be a part of his classroom, versus here I can actually completely invest in my child, completely tailor his education, completely have the time for character development, and just have the flexibility of homeschooling. So I had tossed those two ideas back and forth in my mind so much that I was just over it. I was like, we need to make a decision, because by us continuing to talk about it, we are making a decision anyway. So we're going to do this or we're not going to do this. And 3 weeks later, we were homeschooling. We homeschool through a charter, as you guys know, so that was my safety net, especially that first year of having that support and that encouragement. And that was how we first got into homeschooling. Now, again, fast forward we are entering our 5th year of homeschool. I've just added my 3rd official student. Even though I did preschool with Josiah, this is the first year that he's officially in kindergarten. And the reasons why we homeschool are the same, and yet they're different. Again, just pouring into our kids is probably the biggest thing. And I know that that can happen above and beyond the school day. Lots of kids go to elementary school and they come home and their parents pour into them. But I just felt like for us, this gives us so much more time to be pouring into their character, to be pouring into who they are, and to be pouring into them academically, which is the second reason why we homeschool. All of my kids have fall birthdays. They all have, they're all young for their grade, other than my daughter. She's officially a 3rd grader, but I teach her as a 4th grader. So they're all young for their grade level. And I don't think that they would have the same academic challenges in a public school that they do in our homeschool. Now, all that to say, every school is different, and there might be a school out there that would be able to customize and challenge them and push them. But I feel like for us it's really worked, because I can see every day exactly where their strengths are, and I can push them forward, and exactly where their weaknesses are, and I can say, oh, we need to work a little bit more time on that. So it's really allowed me to customize education for all 3 kids. Now, that's a challenge. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but I can see the benefits already playing out in all 3 of them. They're all 3 doing just wonderfully, and they all have big plans for their lives, and I'm excited to see how all of those pan out. So for us, it's been a year-by-year decision, even especially as Noah gets older. He's in 6th grade this year, and so it's especially for him a year-by-year decision. Does this continue to work for us? Is this still a good idea? Do we want to move into the public school realm as he gets older? But for now, it works really well for our family, and I'm very happy with the decision that we've made. It has allowed my kids so many more experiences than they would have had in the public school, as far as field trips and just the extracurriculars that they are able to do, and the projects that they are able to delve into, and the fact that we can kind of negotiate and customize their education into the things that they're interested in that will benefit them long term. There have been so many benefits. Yes, there are drawbacks. Yes, it has eaten into Mama's free time, but it has really been a benefit to our family. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know, do you homeschool? Why do you homeschool? And if you don't, why do you choose your public school? Because I believe that there are definitely benefits to public school as well. So what has been the benefit for your family? If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate your support and your encouragement and your comments so much. So continue to interact with us in the comment section down below, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Bye guys.